on our Facebook and YouTube. And as the people are coming in through our online portal, we are studying a new lesson tonight, and we'll need everyone to turn to Joshua chapter 20. Joshua chapter 20. Joshua chapter 20. And our lesson for tonight is cities of refuge. And if you have your Joshua worksheet on just about towards the bottom, it calls for conferral. So that would be inheritance, distribution, the cities of refuge. And those chapters are Joshua 14 through 22. Joshua 14 through 22. Those are the chapters that deal with the inheritance, distribution, cities of refuge, and even the place where the Levites were going to settle. Okay? All right. So as a setup to our lesson, what would you do if you had to go to court and you knew that the judge was a racist, did not prefer anybody that looks like you, and has a record of giving the maximum penalty to everyone that looks like you? But you had to go to court and to solve a case, a situation that you were in, and by fate, you ended up with that judge that don't like anyone that looks like you. Okay? I'm sure that if you had your way, you would ask for a continuance, maybe change of venue, maybe a new judge, maybe you say, I'll just go on to jail because I already know where you're going to put me anyway. So ain't no sense in playing games. This dude don't like nobody look like me. Everybody look like me, goes to jail, so I'll just go on in, right? So you know you have limited resources when you have someone that represents an ideology that is stacked against you, right? In other words, you know you can't win. No matter what you do, you know you're going to lose. And so when we think about the cities of refuge, they bring to bear the idea that the hope is that no one ever encounters. I see we have someone that's signed into our YouTube, although the live chat doesn't acknowledge them just yet. But I'm going to try to, with this mouse, see if I can pull, I guess, there we go. Let's see if I get, all right, this is, okay. All right. Okay. All right, so we, if you've got one of two things you can use. One, you can use this map that is right in front of you, right? We've got this map available, and I'm talking about this one that I'm tapping on. This is the inheritance and tribal allotments that would be obvious if you have that map. If you do not have that map, we have another worksheet that we have prepared for this one-time lesson, because we will finish this lesson today. And at some point, we can email that to you or put it on the in the Google Drive, and you'll be able to. It's right here. All of them are right here on the edge. Right here on this table. Oh, you're looking for that one? Okay. All right. Okay, we were just directing a little traffic. Okay. So here we are. Cities of refuge. Okay, so there were 6 cities of refuge. And I'm going to start reading from Joshua chapter 20, verse 1. Okay. The Lord also spake unto Joshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint out for you cities of refuge, whereof I spake unto you by the hand of Moses, that the slayer that killeth any person unawares and unwittingly may flee thither, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. And when he that doth flee unto one of those cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city, and shall declare his cause in the ears of the elders of that city, they shall take him into the city unto them, and shall give him a place that he may dwell among them. And if the avenger of blood pursue after him, then they shall not deliver the slayer up into his hand, because he smote his neighbor unwillingly and hated him not before time. All right, so the cities of refuge is for accidental death that you cause. Okay? So we got to spend a little time talking about murder. And I'm going to use my acumen, Mama Nurse, Betty Green, that I got from one of my favorite shows, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. All right? That show is one of my favorites. And since y'all rich, y'all can go ahead and give your donation at www.calvarybaptistla.org. You might as well send it to us. We're plugging your show. The least you can do is send us a few dollars in the offering. I see you, Sarah Thompson. Hello, Governor. All right, Sarah Thompson's in the house. All right. So in the show, they use cop lingo. And Lieutenant Olivia Benson is the Donna Mega. Okay, not the Don Mega. That was Captain Craig, and he gone. Now it's Olivia Benson. And one thing that I've learned about murder by watching the cop shows, some of you guys like to watch Chicago PD. If that's you, that's all fine and good. Is that you've got murder that happens by way of premeditation. And if someone dies because of premeditation, you can charge them with first-degree murder. And premeditation suggests that you knew you were going to do it, you planned to do it, you put your idea in motion to do it, you lied in wait to do it. Once you saw them, you put into action how you were going to snuff them out, okay? Take their life. And so premeditation is what gets you the fact that it is not an accidental death. So that's first-degree murder. All right? And first-degree murder generally comes with it the death penalty. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you'll get murder one with special circumstances, where they might say it was a crime of passion, but O.J. Simpson, they still, Okay, somebody, it might be a crime of passion, right? But there's still some other issues that come into play where in extreme anger, the person may not have gone to commit a crime, but out of extreme anger based on extreme passion, they do commit a crime. And so special circumstances will say, well, you wore gloves, you brought a knife with you, you say, well, I just wanted to talk to her. No, you don't want to talk with a knife. Now you wanted to scare her. Well, I just wanted to scare her. I didn't want to kill her. Okay. Well, either way it goes, they look at that as a special circumstance. And there are other things that tie into special circumstance as well. I'm just trying to set the case for why the cities of refuge were important in the Old Testament. Now, if you allocute, they call it allocution, right? I got that from the show. If you allocute, they might let you off with second-degree murder, right? And allocution says that I'm going to apologize to the family. I'm sorry that I took their loved one, and I'm going to tell you how the whole thing went down, right? So you got to tell the whole story. And then if that satisfies the judge, then you can get time without a possibility of parole. So you don't face the death penalty, but you do, get to, you do still get locked up, okay? And I don't know if after you allocute, you can appeal it. I think it's ironclad. If you agree to that, otherwise, if you want to roll the dice and you don't think they're going to convict you, you don't think they have enough evidence, then it's up to you to do that, all right? And whatever the result is whatever the result is. Okay. Now, if it's an accidental death, for instance, you put your car in park and you live on a slope where you got to put your car in park, set the emergency brake, turn your wheels so that they rest on the curb, right? Now, let's say you got out of the car quick and you rushing to get inside. You know you turned the car off and you know you put it in park. Some kind of way it slips out of gear and it rolls downhill, hits someone, kills them, right? You're responsible, but it wasn't on purpose. It was by accident, okay? So in a case like that, you would appeal to, the judge that because it was an accident, you couldn't be charged for murder. You could only be charged for manslaughter, right? And just like you have murder 1, murder 2, I believe you have manslaughter 1, manslaughter 2. And the difference is in the amount of time that you will serve. But in manslaughter cases, you do have the possibility of parole. And depending on how your murder 2 goes, they might grant you the possibility of parole, depending on how that, how you allocate everything that happens. Okay, so or everything that happened, past tense. Okay, so in the cities of refuge, they're designed for a person who knows they murdered someone by accident. And the way the Bible rolls out its punitive damage, you take a life, you lose a life, right? It says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That's the way it works. If you knock my tooth out, then I get to knock your tooth out. All right? If you knock 2 of my teeth out, then I get to knock 2 of your teeth out. right? So the way it works is apple and apple, not an apple and an orange. And it's, the punitive damage is based on exact for exact. So you can't come up after knocking one of my teeth out and suggest that don't get the front one. Hit me right here. Get the back one. No, I lost my front tooth, and so I'm taking your front tooth as well. Or if I get so mad that I say I'm gonna knock all your teeth out because that's over the limit. It's only supposed to be 1 for 1, right? If I knock your eye out, then you can't knock both of mine out, right? You can only get one. And that is how God worked. Exact punitive damages, like for like, same for same. So if you take the life of someone, you have the pleasure of giving your life up. It's your privilege, your duty, your love for humanity that you're going to give your life up because you took someone else's life. So far, so good? Does that make sense so far? Now, I know, oh, yeah, they are chiming in, and I'm not moving. All right, A.V. Johnstone is in the house. All right. I see you, A.V. What's going on, girl? All right. So we got A.V., Sarah, Rhonda, Dr. Lightfoot, Sherlin, and we've got Bernice, and we have Aaron in the house so far. All right. Betty Green, I don't see you yet, Betty Green. Talk to me, Betty Green. Whoa, Betty Green. I don't see you, Betty Green. Hello, Betty Green. Betty Green. All right, she'll be with me in a minute. All right. Okay, so what God designed for the one who's going to be guilty of manslaughter, not murder, is cities of refuge. That's a provision that he set up for those that would be charged with manslaughter. Okay? So there were 6. So if you have your map, I'll tell you where these locations are and you'll be able to find them. Okay, there were 3 in Canaan on the west side of the Jordan River, which means they're going to be between the Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, that's 3 west. And then there's 3 east on the east of the Jordan River. All right, so you know the Jordan River goes from top to bottom of Israel, right? So you've got the Sea of Galilee, and then you've got the Salt Sea, I believe, or the Dead Sea right below it. And then the Jordan River connects kind of like the Mississippi River, kind of traverses the landscape. There she is. Hi, Betty. I see you, girl. All right. Okay, Betty Green. All right, so we're talking about the cities of refuge. All right, so these cities were designated as places of safety for persons suspected of manslaughter. Okay? So the 6 cities were among the 48 assigned to the Levites. So the Levites would be responsible for the cities of refuge, meaning that judge and jury would be from the church. Now, I asked the question earlier, what would you think if when you got to court, you got someone, a judge who hated everybody that looked like you, and everyone got the worst punishment or the worst penalty or time to serve every time that judge is on the bench? So it just happened that that's your day to go in to handle a case. And oh, by the way, you pick up that judge. And since you know you're going in for a long time, you just say, I have a clue. Because this judge, he don't like us no way. And you know that you're not going anywhere. When we think about today's legal system, it borrows from the Bible. So now let's reimagine that. Let's say that you've got a Christian, a believer, all right, a minister of God that is now trying your case. That's a whole lot different, isn't it? Right? Because a believer ain't supposed to hate any group of people. Right? Now, we know that you got some believers, well, I'm going to just talk about United States of America, claim to love Jesus, who they have never seen, right. And they can't love the Black Lives Matter, can't love the black people who they see every day. Right. All right? Right. I'm just throwing that out for free. Right. Okay? So if we, and that is the reason why we need to have saved people on the bench. Save judges, save police officers, save everybody, save mayors, governors, district attorneys. You need people in the family of God in all of these key spots, because if it turns out that you're being railroaded, at least you have this assurance that a saved person is going to hear the case. In the Bible, the Levites and the elders of the church were the ones listening to the case and rendering a verdict. Y'all with me so far? Okay. All right. So we see that in Numbers chapter 35, let's run over there real quick. Let's run over to Numbers, because we know that we studied several things, and we bypassed it because we knew we were going to come up to it later. We bypassed the cities for the Levites and the cities of refuge in Numbers 35, because we knew we were coming up to it in another lesson later. Kind of like what we did with God and sexuality. We knew we were going to come back to it, so we bypassed it in Leviticus where it was addressed, and even in Numbers where it was mentioned, okay? So the cities of refuge kind of follows that same system. All right, so you've got Numbers chapter 35, and I'm going to look at verse 6. All right. And it says, and among the cities which ye shall give unto the Levites, there shall be 6 cities for refuge, which ye shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither, and to them ye shall add 42 cities. Right? So 42 plus 6 equals 48. Isn't that right? All right. So the Levites, the people that were responsible for the church and the policies and the worship service and all of that, they're in charge of hearing the case. All right? Okay. All right. So there are 3 Transjordan cities. So you'll need to grab your map, and I'm going to read off the cities. Bezer, B-E-Z-E-R, and if you have your map, you'll look to the bottom right where it says Reuben. If you see Reuben, bottom right, there you're going to find Bezer, B-E-Z-E-R. All right? All right. Then you have Ramoth, Gilead. It might be listed as Ramoth. It's in about the middle. So you just go up above Bezer and you'll find either Ramoth or Ramoth Gilead. Do you all see that? Okay. That's the second city of refuge on the right side of your paper, or the east. All right. Then the next one is Golan, right, which is just above Ramoth. Y'all see that? Yeah. Now, Golan is in the place where Manasseh has been given an inheritance. If you're looking at your colored map that I have for you. Now I'm going to go to the east side. If you go all the way up to the top, you're going to see Kadesh or Kadesh Barnea. Right? It's right near the top of the Sea of, it's just above the Sea of Galilee, where you get that other water spot just above that. Look like it's a little lake above the Sea of Galilee. That's Kadesh or Kadesh Barnea or Kadesh Barnea. All right? Okay, then the next one, if you come down, Shechem. Right? And Shechem, you will find in Manasseh, if you're looking at your color map, but it says it's in Ephraim, so more than likely it's on the border. Y'all see that?
What is it?
Shechem. Shechem.
Oh, I see.
Right? Come straight down. And then your next one will be Kiriath Arba or Hebron. Kiriath Arba or Hebron. And Hebron would be in Judah if you've got your colored map. And if you do not have your colored map, it's just below Jerusalem. Kiriath Arba or Hebron, same place. Hebron. Just go below Jerusalem to the left of the Dead Sea and you can't miss it. All right, did you find it yet? Or if you get the other map will show you faster towards the bottom. Yeah, got it?
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, so each of these cities of refuge are in the hill country. Right? They're in raised elevation. All right? Sister Betty Green says she needs the map. Betty Green, I know I mailed you this map, Betty Green. I sent this to you personally, Betty Green. Get that map, Betty Green. Now, see, Betty Green, if you keep yours in a book like this and you can just flip, you see what I'm doing, Betty Green? If you can do that, you'll have all your stuff. But now, if you just got a folder and everything's thrown in it, it may take you some time to find it. But I know I mailed that to you, Betty Green. I am certain. And if you can't find it, maybe I have to send you another one. Okay. All right. So they're in hill country. What is significant about that is this. It's easy to catch somebody on the plains. Right? You running in the flat desert. Right? They coming in horses and you running on your feet. Right? That's the horsepower you got. Your 2 horses at the bottom of your legs. And you running as fast as you can to get to a city of refuge. All right? So guess what? A person on a horse chasing you down gonna find you quick. But one thing about running, trying to escape to get to a city of refuge is when you get into hill country, there's a limit to how high a horse can go before you're going to have to get off that horse and run on foot. So guess what? You can probably get there if you can get to the hills first. And the only thing that can really handle a hill very well would be a antelope. You ain't going to mount no antelope. A deer, you ain't gonna be able to domesticate a deer to get up beside that mountain. So it's you running against time, trying to get to the place where you can have a case heard. You would only be running because you want a court case. That's the only reason why you're going to a city of refuge. Because you're trying to have your case heard because you don't want to die. Okay? All right, so they run the hill country. Now, here's the other thing about why it's important to have believers in charge of the court cases. It was the job of the Levites to make sure that everybody knew where the cities of refuge were. Now imagine if you came up in a house and they don't go to church, they don't tell you the rules of the church, and they sure don't tell you nothing about the cities of refuge. And let's just say, for all practical purposes, you accidentally kill somebody, and now you only know that there's a place called the city of refuge, and you got to find it. But ain't nobody told you in your tribe where they are, right? So let's just say that you're in Ephraim, and you're asking around, and don't nobody know. And you know, if you're in Ephraim, on the border of Ephraim and Manasseh would be one. And you don't know that, so you're going all the way up to Kadesh. Guess what? You ain't going to make it to Kadesh because you're going to be dead before you get there. Right? So the Levites' job was not only to make sure all the tribal leaders know where these cities of refuge are, but also that they would make sure that everybody in the tribe knows where they are, because accidents do happen. And you don't want someone paying with their life if someone else died at their hands because of an accident, like the car popping out of gear, rolling down the hill, killing someone. And yes, you are guilty, but you're not guilty of first-degree murder. Right? It would be manslaughter. Okay? All right. So they were located in the hill country. All right? Now, in ancient Israel, well, the other reason why they're spaced out the way they are is to give you a chance to get there quickly. Right? Like Speedy Gonzalez. Quickly, andale, quickly, andale, arriba, right? You're trying to get there as fast as you can, because you know that death is sure to come. All right? Now, in ancient Israel, the nearest relative of a murder victim, and we're in Numbers 35. Remember, that's where we were. We're going to spend a little more time there. We started out in Joshua 20 because that's where the lesson brings this to light. Okay? All right, so the nearest relative of a murder victim was required to be the one taking the life of the murderer. So the nearest of kin is the executioner. Now, I'm just going to poll you and look at your response. If someone killed someone in your family by accident, right, and you are the next of kin, all right, and it's now required that you would be the executioner, could you do it? Could you do it? And see, that's where a lot of us would struggle. But the law of God says, if you're the next of kin, you're the one that has to take the life. And here's what rose through our mind. We've never taken a life before, and we don't want to be responsible for 1 minute this person is breathing, living, and talking, and the next minute they are no longer living, breathing, and talking. Most of us can't do it. Even in extreme pain, most of us can't do it. So guess what? Most of us do know somebody who can. Right? We do know someone who can and say, don't worry about it. I know somebody. Let me call Pookie. Pookie will take care of it for me. Well, here is where the law of God eliminates that possibility. Pookie is not the next of kin. He's not the next of kin. So guess what? The process starts over if Pookie takes the life of the person because you can't do it. Because now he murdered someone. Now his life has to be given up. Did y'all catch that? Y'all catch that? So because he's not related, he has no standing, has no case. So why would he take the life of someone because you can't do it? Okay, now the process starts completely over again, and now Pookie needs to, well, he really can't go to a city of refuge because he murdered the person. He was told, I'll pay you $20 or I'll pay you $50, $100 because the judge said I can kill him, but I can't do it, so you got to do it for me. So what happens, and that would be the special circumstances, there was a contract killing. And Pookie loses his life, and then the person who contracted them could be equally charged, and they might lose their life because they were not able to take the life of someone else. So guess what? Children of Israel were careful. They were careful, right? They were not careless. They would not get behind the car drunk because they knew what was at stake, okay? They wouldn't just walk around with a machete and say, I'm going to just scare somebody. And if you take life by accident because everyone saw you running around with a machete, they're going to say it was premeditated because you get a case and you get witnesses, so the judge will listen to one side over here, another side over there, and then the judge will rule. Now, here's something that is a harsh reality. Let's say that a person is on that borderline case. They never liked each other, right? But he didn't intend to kill the person. And it's determined that you have to be the executioner, and you say, I can't do it. I believe there's a provision, and I have to look it up, where they allow you to negotiate being a servant of the deceased family for the duration of your life or until the Levitical judge dies, till that priest dies. And then when that priest dies, then you're exonerated. You don't have to wait to get out of jail. You don't have to wait until your term ends. If the priest passes away, then that case, because the case is tied to the priest. Not like if we go in the big house, judge dead, we still in prison, and we gonna die there. Biblical times, you would only be there about as long as the priest was alive. So if you got a priest that was 90, you might only be, struggling for about a couple of years. Right? That might be all you go. That might be all you gonna serve is a couple of years. And then they release you to go back to your family, back to your house, back to your normal, usual, customary place and work and job and all of that because you're tied to the priest of that city of refuge. So far, so good. All right. Yes, you got a question.
Just comment. You said 9 years old, you make a joke would have for 2 years. You got to remember back in them days, they lived just 600 to 700 years old.
Yeah, they lived a long time. During Methuselah's day, yes. By Moses' day, they came on down significantly. They might have been on about 100, 120. A whole lot different than Methuselah's days. Yeah. But that is a good point that you brought up. Okay, so knowing now that a person, could appeal to a judge for manslaughter case in a case of murder, first or second degree, if you, the next of kin, cannot take that life, a provision could be made as long as it's signed off on all sides, right? And the judge could grant that, and you would be a servant. Now, here's how you might win out in a deal. Let's say somebody's son was no good, didn't do no work, lazy bones, right? And you say, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I beg for mercy, please, please, please. And the heart of the person cannot bring themselves to kill them like for like, right, of the next of kin. They say, I'll be a servant, and they end up doing 1,000 times more work than your deadbeat son. I was like, I won out in this deal. All he did was cost me money. This one is bringing me money. Okay. Thank you, Lord. You know, and when praises go up, blessings come down. Y'all ain't listening to me? Yeah. All he did was go to the refrigerator, eat up all the food. But this one is bringing food into the refrigerator. Like, ain't he good? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Oh, so, I know y'all laughing at me. I know y'all laughing at me. That's all right. They laughed at Bozo too. Okay. Oh, okay, y'all crying. Okay, let's come on back in the room. Come on back in the room. Come on back in the room. Okay, so the accidental death is, well, we said we're going to read Numbers 35, 19 through 21. So let me go to 19 through 21. Okay. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred or hurl at him by laying of weight that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand that he die, he that smote him will surely be put to death. For he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him. Right? So the way to do it, if you're going to execute a person, you have to execute them right. You can't sneak up on them. Right? You got, okay, I want you to say bye to mama. Go to my dear. Go to Big Mama's house. Go on and get you some chitlins and some collard greens. Get you some yams, and don't forget the macaroni and cheese. And make sure you get some strawberry Kool-Aid. Strawberry Kool-Aid and some hot water cornbread. Make sure you get that sock-a-toomy cake, because when they get done, they're going to sock it to you. Get you some sock-a-toomy cake, because when they get done with you, it will have been socked. You will have been socked, Jack. Okay, I'm back. I'm crying, y'all. Let me wipe my. Let me dab my. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So accidental death. Okay. All right. It was unique. Manslaughter without malice or premeditation had a special provision in the law of Moses. That's why we're in Numbers, right? Because once you get past Deuteronomy, it's still called the Mosaic Law, but it's Joshua that is sharing the details, okay? So it says a man who accidentally killed someone could flee to the nearest city of refuge, where the local authorities would meet him at the gate, and at the city gates would be where the decisions are made. They will decide if they're going to let you in or not. So you would have to tell them what's going on. They can say, come on in, or you need to wait. You need to leave here because we ain't letting you in here. right? They make the decision. But again, it goes back to my original question. What would happen if you went up to court and you found yourself facing a judge that hated everybody looked like you? And every time that judge was on the bench, they sent everybody up the river. You already know what's coming. The difference about this is the Levites are believers, and their job is to protect the life and the right of every person that walks into the city of refuge. But you got to tell them, well, this is what happened, and based on what you say, they will determine if they're letting you in or not. Okay? All right. So they grant you authority, and they grant you asylum, right? The local authorities would grant you asylum. All right? And when the case comes to court, if the man is found guilty of premeditated murder, he was handed over for execution. So more than likely what they would do is say, get your accounts in order, get everything straight, because you about to be out of here. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So, and then they would call, send for the family, the nearest of kin to come, and it had to be the closest living relative of the deceased. Now, what happens, I'm just throwing this out since I'm feeling kind of frisky here. What happens when, the next of kin has no arms?
Oh my God.
and they're supposed to use a hatchet. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm back. Okay. It's just okay. All right. Because you can't do it if you ain't got no arms. Okay. All right. I'm back. All right. So they were handed over for execution. If the death was deemed accidental, the person was acquitted, just like the acquittals we find, today, right? The difference, though, is in either case, he still has to pay a penalty. Just because you're acquitted doesn't mean that you don't have to pay. There's still a bill to pay, right? So the manslayer had to stay in the city of refuge as long as the current high priest was in office, and whatever the penalty was. So let's say it was determined that you had, the death was caused by accident. They said, okay, all right, now you still need to pay some restitution, and they would determine the value of the person's life, and you would have to come up with that amount of money. If you could not do that, then they would say, okay, well, you can work it off. And if you work it off, it depends on how many years at the regular standard pay, which is normative, so that you could pay based on time. So if, let's say they determined that the person's worth was $20,000, right? You would have to work your regular job for $20,000 until $20,000 are paid up. Then you can have your case closed. Okay? Now, so they would value, the lives, children are just at the beginning of their life, but they're not very productive. Seniors are towards the end of their life. They're not as productive. So, the price is higher in the middle ages and lower in the younger or older age categories. And so that's how the scale would have been written up. Okay? And so that the person that was acquitted or was given room to stay in the city of refuge was there as long as that priest was alive. Okay? All right. So let's say that the person that had to go to the city of refuge was the main breadwinner for his family. As soon as he leaves, that family plummets because there's no one to take over to do the work. Like, let's say he's the main one and he's the one that is in the fields with, dealing with either the crops or with the animals, and and if he's got to go to the city of refuge, then you got a big problem because you don't have anyone else that can immediately take that over, right? So the family might have to hire someone, but if you're working, on a tight budget already, having to pay someone may send you over the top. It might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. All right, so that's why it could be considerable hardship, right? Now, another thing that could happen is that, if you're separated from your family, you might have to spend money to move them from where you're supposed to be ancestrally, because remember, all of these parcels of land were divided for an inheritance. You might have to give up your ancestral inheritance to move to a place that you have no inheritance, because that's where the family is best suited after such a situation like this occurs, right? Because you got to make livelihood in the new city, in the city of refuge. So what you would end up doing is finding that you're finding that you lose more than you gain, right? So the thing that's really important is just to know that our current legal system comes from what is in the Bible. That's where they get it from. And God always wants, same for same, right? If you break my finger off, right, then I get to break your finger off, right? It has to be same for same, all right? So when we look at the cities of refuge, you want to make sure you put it in the conferral part of your worksheet. And probably by next week, we will finish Joshua and we will start in Judges, all right? Okay, so we thank God for each and every one of you for being a part of this. If you were blessed by this Bible study, certainly go to www.calvarybaptistla.org and put a little something in the donation. And you should be, that helps us take care of some of the things that we need to take care of, like pay our bills. Amen. All right. We're going to pray that the Lord bless and keep you, that his countenance be upon you and grant you peace. We pray that if you've got to travel, that God gives you grace. And we pray that the Lord will bless your house, bless everyone that's connected to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. All right. We will see you next time. God bless and keep you is our prayer. All right.